So emotional component is very important for mental health. When I know who I am, what makes me tick, what makes me happy, what makes me sad, and how I make other people feel,
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's now emotional. That's the third one.
Yeah, those are three. So tell us about the fourth aspect of mental wellness.
That have their own understanding of spiritual. We also have people who are now pursuing spiritual traditions that are not religious in nature. And essentially what we mean is able to interact with something greater than yourself. If you do not practice, you do not have any spiritual practices or spiritually practices, it means you can easily be extremely challenged when things change.
Yeah.
Because things will change.
And
How
you
will you
have
cope?
nothing to fall back on.
Yeah, you have nothing that is anchoring you, holding you when you're being to and fro. There's something that keeps you together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a spiritual practice or the spiritual component. I'm sorry. So that's the fourth one.
Yeah.
The fifth one, which I want to introduce, is the interpersonal.
What's that?
So the interpersonal, your relationships. So if we have healthy relationships, relationships that are sustainable, relationships that are growing, relationships that are meaningful,
they
have a very positive effect on our mental health. Because you'll find there are people who say, me, I can't talk with my father, I cannot talk with my mother, I don't get along with my siblings. That has a very negative or rather serious mental health repercussions. Because if you can't get along with people, what does it say about you?
There's something wrong.
There's something wrong. Yeah. And you see, this is what is amazing. There are people who are extremely difficult to interact with, but for as long as they are consistently difficult in terms of you have a very hard time interacting with them, you're able to know how to approach them.
Yeah.
Because there's some people who have okay, let me use this example. We are as different as their fruits. There are more than 1,000 fruits in the world. More than.
Yeah.
So let's assume one person is like a tomato and another person is like a coconut. So of course it's easier to interact with the tomato person than to interact with the coconut person, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you may find the coconut person has so much value, don't mind the hardness.
Yeah.
Now you'll find people generally want to have people who are like tomatoes. You're soft, mushy, but that is not the reality. We cannot all be like that.
Yeah.
So if we accept the reality that people are different, but all these people have the value they bring, then it will be easy for us to interact with people who are hard. People who are different, people who we are uncomfortable with. But since we know that people are different, it means we will develop coping mechanisms to know how to cope with them and to learn how to enjoy them. Because we can still enjoy a coconut. You just need to break it and get inside.
Yeah.
And the most
that has
the most
something I used to wonder about. My aunt used to say that you have to know how to live, what someone likes, so that you know how to live with them.
Yeah.
If I'm translating it properly, how to know to live with people, you have to know how people want to be treated, something like that. And I guess what you've said about developing coping mechanism, that is what it means for different people.
Yeah, but now unfortunately,
yeah,
we okay, let me put another way. Even in the psychological in the psychology field, what most people know is you're a melancholic, you're a choleric, you're a sanguine, you are the other one is what? That's what people know, isn't it?
Yeah.
But people are more different and more complex than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So because we are so different, those four categories do not adequately describe how different we are. They don't.
Yeah.
So for me, a simpler way of thinking about it is like fruits. We have so many different fruits. There are guys who are like cucumbers. There are guys who are like they're like mangoes. There are guys who are like oranges. There are guys who, so because we are so different,
yeah,
unless you interact with somebody, you cannot be able to quite tell what that person is like.
Yeah.
And that is why it's important to be connected to yourself. And then now when you interact with others, and that's why the interpersonal component is very important. When you interact with others, you begin to learn how to tell who is this person.
Yeah.
What makes them tick? How can I draw the most from them? How can I be able to add my value onto them?
Yeah.
You see, it's like now how you find most people they use tomatoes for cooking all over the world. Imagine.
Yes.
How did we arrive at that? It's because the tomato is what it adds to cooking, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, you'll imagine now if somebody wants to use tomatoes for what? I'm trying to think of what you can use tomato. You want to use tomatoes to bake a cake. Have you ever had?
A tomato cake.
Have you ever heard of a tomato cake?
No, I haven't.
Of course, it's possible that there's one that exists.
Yeah.
But
maybe a pie.
But you'll find it is more suitable for cooking.
Frying.
In that way, frying. You see now?
Yeah.
So the same way, when you interact with somebody, you can be able to get a feel of where that person, you derive the most value from that person when doing activity X or activity Y or activity Z, isn't it?
Yeah.
So of course, it means that if you want to enjoy that person, you need to engage them in that activity. Don't try and engage in that activity. It will not give you good results.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that point very much.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we think people have to fit into what we think is the best way to interact with them. Like, this is how I want to interact with you. This is how you're going to interact with me. And maybe that is not working for the person.
And now, so much conflict because not want to connect with the way that person is. Because that person will not change because it is you. Now some people think because it's me they'll change.
Yeah.
Will a tomato change because it has seen an onion?
No.
So the reason why the interpersonal component is important is because it helps us to be able to get out of ourselves and we start seeing things from somebody else's perspective. You cannot interact with people from your perspective alone. So in other words, influential people have very advanced interpersonal skills. And you see that tells us this person has a very developed mind. You see? Yeah. So the person who gets along with more people tends also to have a very strong mind, believe it or not. And if you think about it, people who have very successful businesses, people who are able to interact with people at different levels, these are people who, at an interpersonal level, they're able to interact with different kinds of people.
I guess it goes back to what you've said, and I think that's the basis for everything. You have to get over yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And put it another way.
Yeah.
If you can't laugh at yourself,
yeah,
it's a mental health issue.
If you can't laugh at yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, as in, if you take yourself too seriously, it's also a mental health issue, because life is so short. What kind of impact do you think you'll have on this earth? Because you'll find that people they take themselves so seriously, thinking change the world.
Yeah.
And one time you will die and you'll be forgotten completely. It's so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate. And I'm saying that relatively speaking, because